Yo, it's Mem. Today I'm going to be showing you how to levitate in your photos to get pictures like this, and this, and this. But more importantly, showing you the tools that I use to fix mistakes that might happen in person so you're not left going oh during editing. Because I've been there and it's not fun. So you'll need a couple of things before you start. The first thing you'll need is Adobe Photoshop. Without Adobe Photoshop, you can't edit these types of photos, so it's definitely a must. The second thing you'll need is a chair. The third thing you'll need is a tripod, which I highly recommend for these types of photos, if not, at least someone you trust taking your photo. And the fourth thing that you'll need is a creative concept, but everyone already has that, okay? Everyone's a critic, so let's just... So the first step is to find the location you're going to shoot at, which I found a teepee right here, and it's pretty cool. But honestly, anywhere really works. You just don't want to find yourself under rapidly changing light, like a stoplight would be a bad example. Oh, and this works really well if you have a jacket of some sort or a skirt, just anywhere to cover part of the chair, because you'll see why later in editing. Unfortunately, I don't have a skirt, so I'm gonna have to make do with a jacket. It's not too shabby. So the next thing you want to do is just put the camera on the tripod and make sure the tripod head is actually tight, so that way the frame of the photo doesn't move. Make sure you focus with manual mode on instead of autofocus. Autofocus is not your friend here, so don't make that mistake. And then just go ahead and focus the chair. And then get ready to say goodbye to your abs because, oh boy, you're in for a treat. And then just take the photo to whatever suits your fancy. Then we're going to take a second photo, except for this time there's no person or chair, it's just the background. You should have the same settings, the manual focus, the same frame. You shouldn't really even touch your camera, you just take another photo with just the background. And that is it. You should have two photos now, one with the person in the chair and one without it, and now time to edit.
Alright, so we took the two photos from earlier, now we just want to drag and drop them in Photoshop, and that's what I did here. I'm going to hit enter to set the frame. I'm going to go over here and click this little lock button to prevent it from being a background layer. And then all we want to do is just make sure the person with the photo in the photo with the chair is on top of the background photo. We want to select the person with the chair, so this photo right here, and hit this button right here to make a mask. We're going to go over here and make sure that one of these square panels is black. And if it's not in front, make sure that this black panel is in front of the white one. We're going to go over to the brush tool over here, select it, and then we're going to pretty much just brush over this. And that's all you do. So I'm going to speed this up. So I did this pretty fast. Obviously, take your time doing this. I just did it for the sake of this video. You might run into some things that, you know, will happen, such as not getting the photo exactly right. Now, as you can see, if I highlight over this peg to remove it, it's going to be a lot lighter than what I intended because the photo doesn't match up. And that's just something you really can't fix because of the shadow here. But don't panic, I'm going to show you how to fix this. So let's hit undo. And I'm going to show you this tool here called Patch Tool. Now, how Patch Tool works is you just want to select the area that you don't want in your photo. Emphasis on don't want. So, as an example, I don't want this peg. So I'm going to highlight this peg over here. And make sure that you're selecting the actual photo and not the mask here. That's important. And then how this works is I'm going to drag it over to the side here. And the side that I choose, that I choose to, you know, stick on, that's going to be pretty much stamped over that part that I don't want. So if I let go here, it's going to pretty much remove it. Maybe I missed a spot around here, so I'm going to do it again. And that looks pretty good. Yeah, you can't even see that. So again, highlight the place that you don't want and drag it over to a place that's going to stamp on top of it. So that's Patch Tool. I'm going to show you something here too called Clone Stamp Tool. It's below the brush tool. And this pretty much works the same way as the patch tool. So if I hold down Alt and I click from another area that I want, if I click right there, and I click over the part that I don't want, it's gonna take the area that I do want and stamp over the part that I don't want. So the area that I want here is this grass here that doesn't have anything on it, and I'm going to stamp that on top of the peg here so that it erases. And these tools, the patch tool and the clone stamp tool, are pretty much the ones that I use if I can't use the brush tool often. And if I want to just be nitty and gritty, really detailed and technical with how I want my shots to be. So pretty much just those 3 tools are the ones that you want to use. That's what I use, and you know, you could go in and actually make sure this part is actually cleaner. But for the sake of this video, those are the 3 tools that I use. Now, I'll show you something else. I'll right click here and do convert to smart object. And as soon as I do that, I go to the filter here and I hit liquify. And what this allows me to do is if I zoom in, see how my body is a little flat with the chair. You can kind of tell that, you know, I laid on something. So to get rid of this, liquify the tool itself, I'll hit, you know, my lower back here, and I'll kind of contort my body this way. Maybe do some funky business here if you catch my drift. Not too much, not J-Lo. But yeah, so then I'll do that, and to make sure that, you know, it looks like I'm not even actually laying on something. It looks like, you know, I'm actually floating. And this is a good way just to sell the trick more. I tend to use it a lot in my photos. And that's pretty much it. I just showed you 3 tools and the liquify. Those are the only things that I use for these photos, nothing else. You can actually use those tools with a photo without a tripod, but you have to be very careful and you have to have a lot of practice doing it, which is why I said earlier a tripod is pretty much recommended, but also optional. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and if you don't mind, hit the like and subscribe, and I will see you for the next video. See you.